How Shania Twain's life changed with the untimely deaths of her parents. The article that follows talks about sexual and physical abuse of children. Shania Twain's relationships with her parents, all three of them, were complex and even tumultuous. Twain's stepfather, Jerry Twain, whom her mother, Sharon Morrison, married when she was a small girl, is the source of her last name. Although he attempted to portray a different picture, the country star's biological father lost contact with her when he and Morrison divorced when she was 2 years old. Clarence Edwards told the National Enquirer in the late 1990s, "It breaks my heart that she's cut me off," Robin Egger writes in Shania Twain, a biography. After then, Shania always referred to Jerry as her father, which raised some questions about her nationality because he was a Native American. As quoted by her in a statement, "My father went out of his way to raise 3 daughters that weren't even his," according to a 1996 article by Canada's Aboriginal Multimedia Society. "For me to acknowledge another man as my father would have hurt him terribly, but she had a far from ideal connection with Jerry." 2011 saw enough sadness in Shania's upbringing to fill an entire book. Throughout from this moment on, according to Entertainment Weekly, she claimed that Jerry had mistreated her, both physically and sexually abusive. Jerry. She admitted to the Sunday Times in 2022 that it was terrible. "You didn't want to be a girl in my house." Morrison temporarily abandoned her husband but soon went back. When Jerry and Morrison were killed in a vehicle accident in 1987, Shania was left with one of her biggest obligations. Shania Twain wasn't even 22 when her parents passed away. Keeping her younger siblings alive fell on Twain because she only had one older sister and she was busy raising her own children. She stated on the Making Space with Hoda Kotb podcast in January, "My younger sister was still living at home, and my 2 younger brothers were still, 13 and 14 years old. No relative was able to take in both of the minors, and the siblings wanted to stay together." She said to Kotb, "The only way to keep them together was for us to stay together." Twain relocated to Huntsville, Ontario, where she landed a steady singing job at a resort after years of performing in bars. Twain's potential was rapidly realized to its full extent, but she felt confined by the realization. She said to the Times, "I felt taken advantage of, but I had no option anymore. I had to dress more feminized or freely wear my femininity in order to play the glamorous singer." Twain struggled to embrace her body as an essential component of her theatrical presence since her earlier traumas were still very much apparent. "I had to figure out a way to avoid being grabbed or violated by someone's eyes and feeling so humiliated." Even while she mourned the loss of her parents, Shania Twain handled the burden. They were all Twain had, despite the fact that her connection with them had been far from ideal. "I misplaced a crucial basis. Even if it was flimsy, it was still a foundation because they were a big part of my life." On Making Space with Hoda Kotb, she said, "The good and the bad." In fact, despite the family's extreme poverty, it was her mother who had encouraged her to pursue her artistic passion. Sharon Morrison realized her daughter had a unique talent. "She was also aware that this might be our break. The circle of our life might be broken by this," she informed Kotb. However, she was also aware of Twain's introversion and reluctance to hog the spotlight, so she and her daughter put that to work. "She understood that being on stage was essential for my success. Without her mother's encouragement, Twain would probably have continued to pursue her musical aptitude as a hobby that gave her comfort amid trying circumstances." She told ABC News, "I wouldn't have done it by myself. I would have been reluctant to do that. I would have retreated because of my anxieties." Despite everything she had to endure with her parents, Twain knows they would have been proud of her. "I can guarantee you that they would be jumping for joy," she told Rolling Stone in 1998.